Peace, and welcome to the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. This is a space where we discuss everything sacred medicine, motherhood, healing practices across the globe, and transformation above all. It is my hope you take each story shared here and find empowerment in your own life, for it is here that we educate the mind to liberate the soul. I'm your host, Taylor. Welcome to another episode of the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. Here tonight with Luna and a dear acquaintance of mine. I like to also think as a friend. She runs chocolate yoga destinations, and I met her as a sound healer. We even had a sound bath play date together. If you don't know a lot about sound healing, you're going to hear a lot about it in this episode today. And we're going to speak about how sacred of a healing tool that it is and it has been. And this lovely expert is going to give you a little bit on her backstory and how she got into this practice and how it helps. So without further ado, welcome again to the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. And Faatima, could you go ahead and introduce yourself to us?
Hi, Taylor and Luna. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Faatima Harley, and I started a company a few years ago, Chocolate Yoga Destinations, and I'm based in San Diego. I am I call myself an intuitive sound bowl musician because I do play intuitively. I do have some musical background, but I mostly play intuitively, and I'm a Reiki Master. I am a Certified Yoga Instructor and Meditation Teacher. So those are the modalities that I work with.
Amazing. And forgive me for the mispronunciation of your name. It's late.
Okay.
But Faatima, so could you please tell us, how did you get into any healing modality? Were you at a different place in your life when you first started all this, or was this something that you just decided one day and kind of went with it?
I was on a quest to heal myself. I was recovering from thyroid cancer. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer many years ago. I've been cancer free, and just looking for alternative medicines and treatments to go along with the traditional treatments that I went through, surgery, radiation, all of that. And this is going to tell you how long ago this was and how old I am. Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory was around, and he was advocating healthy lifestyles, and he was starting to talk about vegetarian diet and things like that. And so when I was recovering, I had an epiphany. Spirit spoke to me and said, stop eating meat. So I became a vegetarian for a few years and during my healing. And over the course of the years, just trying to remain cancer-free and just taking care of myself, I came across yoga. A former boss recommended yoga to me. And I took my first yoga class at the age of 50. And 2 years later, I was going through yoga teacher training. So once I became certified, prior to finishing up that training, we were introduced to crystal singing bowls. We had a lady come in during one of our classes, and she played for us. She played the entire time during the yoga class, and it absolutely did something to me. I mean, just feeling the vibrations, being able to relax at that level, being at that in-between state of sleep and awakeness, it did something to me. It really transformed me, and I wanted to learn more about them, and then I wanted to share that to others. I wanted others to experience that. So that's how I got into yoga and sound bath meditation. And it started out with a few friends asking me to play my one bowl at their yoga studios, and then over time purchasing a second and then a third, and receiving a few bowls as gifts. And chocolate yoga destinations came about because I was practicing yoga and a friend of mine said I reminded her of chocolate yoga. So it kind of stuck. And then the destinations part came in. My husband and I became empty nesters. And so we were starting to travel a lot. And I had this goal of doing a yoga pose wherever we traveled to. And that's where the destinations comes in. So I didn't really plan on having a business per se, but it just kind of evolved. And the destinations part of it has been just traveling and sharing what I do, having people come into my city. I've hosted 2 retreats now here in San Diego. And also, people have told me they feel like they're being transported to different destinations during a sound bath. So it's fitting.
I've definitely felt that during a sound bath. It's an out of body experience. And I know you probably know better than most that when you're in touch with certain vibrations, you literally do have an out of body experience with this.
Mhm.
And that's for the person performing the sound bath and for the person receiving. You're both transported somewhere else. So,
Yeah.
what was your first sound bath like?
Oh wow, my first sound bath, I did have an out of body experience. I felt like I was floating around the room. I could look down and see myself. I felt light. I was seeing colors. I was seeing lots of purples and white lights and orange. And it was just a really beautiful, calming experience. I had been having trouble sleeping, and I remember that night just sleeping so peacefully and so soundly, and it really helped me from then on with my sleep.
With sleep, I definitely understand that. I get a lot of questions about that too. Do you think that there is a comparison in sound healing versus maybe listening to binaural beats on YouTube? I know people try to do that to
Mhm.
align
Yeah.
themselves with the same kind of energy.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty close. I think with sound healing, it with this, especially with the crystal singing bowls and with the gong and things like that, I think it really gets us in a state where we're in that in between sleep and awake. And so when you're in that place, that's where healing really takes place, you know? So that's what it's been like for me, and that's what I hear from my students and my clients as well. And I've also read someplace that receiving a 1 hour sound bath is equivalent to 3 hours sleep.
I can understand
So,
that. I feel that.
yeah, yeah.
So, is your family, are they the same as you, would you say, when it comes to receiving this information about healing and applying it to their life, or do they kind of follow your lead with all of it?
I would say my immediate family, yes. My daughters and my husband, they're very open to it, and they ask for sound baths all the time. And whenever I'm in my little studio here, we recently converted our garage into a studio for me. I'm so
Awesome.
happy. So whenever they hear me playing, they'll come in and they'll lie down and hi Luna, and they'll get to enjoy the sound bath. So they're very open to it. They really find it beneficial. I have other family members, more extended family. I've had to introduce them to it, and they all love it too. Once they experience it, they really love it, and they told me that it really helps them a lot. My husband, sometimes, even if he can't get into the studio with me, he'll be in his office listening on my YouTube channel. And I said, "What are you listening to?" He said, "I don't know, some fine woman playing these bowls."
Oh, I love that. That's amazing that you can incorporate your family in that life too, because I do know many people who begin a healing journey, no matter what stage they are in life, always come in contact usually with people who are kind of standoffish about what they're doing
Mhm.
because they don't know about it.
Yeah. I have experienced that with, actually, I would say probably more friends or acquaintances. They're intrigued, and some family members too. I think some of my extended family, they're intrigued, but they're not quite sure what it is, and they're not quite ready to take that next step.
So how do you introduce people to like who've never heard about what a sound bath is? Like what's the first thing you would say, or how would you lead them into it?
Oh wow! I normally start by saying, I have so many different people, a large, diverse group of people that I work with, but primarily I work with Black women. And so, I mean, that's who seeks me out. I think if they see me on social media or something, they say, maybe they're asking, who is that Black lady playing those bowls? What is that? And that intrigues them. But how I approach it, especially because the majority of my clients are women, is I come from a place where I introduce or I'll ask them about stress and sleep, anxiety, how they're feeling, and as a woman, as a person, self-care, taking care of themselves, how they're doing that. And so I introduce it that way, and they're all open to anything, right? Anything that's going to help relieve stress, anything that's going to help them sleep better, or just take anything that can give them an opportunity to take some time away from it all to just do something good for themselves. That's the first part. And then I just talk about how our bodies are made up of mostly water, and the crystal singing bowls are water, and the vibrations move all that water and all that energy in our bodies. And when we're in that state where we're resting, truly resting, then we can help our bodies heal itself. So when I start from there, and they say, "Oh, this can help me. This is how it can help me," they're open to the idea of actually having a sound bath. And once they have the sound bath and actually experience it, then they're hooked.
I believe that when you come in contact with people who've never experienced it before, they're usually the ones that are most open to it because it's almost like a
Mhm.
mystery behind the mind and body. They want to know, oh,
Yeah.
these things really connect because we become so disconnected in everyday life with things that go on. So they're intrigued by the mystery. So I love that.
Yeah, they're definitely intrigued. And I think by now, you mentioned earlier that it's really trending. I mean, you're seeing sound healing in TV commercials. I saw a TV commercial
Really? I don't watch
where
TV.
some
I wouldn't
people
even
were
know.
sitting in the grass playing their bowls, and my husband called me in and said, "Look, they're playing singing bowls." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." I try not to watch as much, that much TV either, but I have noticed it. I think I read that some of the reality TV shows were doing sound baths for baby showers and things like that. So it's very trendy.
Mhm.
So I think that's piqued people's interest, and then hopefully, when they experience it with us, they'll have a true experience, and it'll be something that they'll fall in love with and that they can add to what they're already doing.
I have seen it. I saw it in passing. I want to say it was maybe on Instagram that it was on a reality show. I think it was Keeping Up with the Kardashians. They were using it. But this
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
this was even after we met 2 years ago. I'm like,
Yes,
wait a
yeah, after.
minute.
Yeah, I know.
But they say we're in the age of enlightenment now. So I think a lot of people are going to be coming into finding these things again because they're calling
Mhm.
out to us. So that
Yeah.
kind of leads me to my next question. When you started sound healing, do you feel that, I don't know if you believe in past lives or reincarnation, but do you feel like you've done this before or this is just new to you in this life?
I've done it. Absolutely. I'm remembering. I feel like I'm remembering. It feels so natural to me. I remember when I was first starting, I think I had probably just gotten my full set of bowls, and I was a guest at a yoga studio, and this lady comes over to me afterwards, and she asked if I was a classically trained musician. And I said, "Wow, that's a big compliment." I said, "No, I'm not, other than taking piano lessons as a kid." I said, "But thank you." And she said, "I almost couldn't concentrate because I just wanted to sit up and watch you and listen. And I was wondering, how does she know how to do that?" And so I do feel like I've done this before. No, I know that I have. I've done this before. It feels completely natural to me, and it feels like I'm in that space where I'm supposed to be when I'm playing. If that makes sense to you, I'm sure it
No,
does.
it makes perfect sense. And I definitely sense that connection with everybody kind of coming into this trending topic. It has happened before. And like you said, it feels like remembering. I feel like the first time I played, it was something I've done before and it was muscle
Yeah,
memory. And
yeah,
it's funny when people, they ask you, if you're a trained musician, you probably are in a past life, but
right. Yeah, yeah. And also,
uh,
I remember one time I had this dream. I sing, and I used to sing more often, but I had this dream, and I was a performer. I was on the stage. There were thousands of people, and I was singing. I was shocked at the sound that was coming out of my voice. And when I woke up, I told my husband, I said, I had a dream, had that dream again that I was performing before thousands of people. And I said, maybe it's my what do you call it? My person in a parallel universe, right? I said maybe we changed places for a while, and I said I tell you, she has really trained and studied because her voice was amazing. So things like that. When I think about that, I think about past lives and just remembering and everything, just feeling so comfortable and really clicking. And it's like in our culture, I've always been a sound healer, even if it was just for me, because I've always been a hummer, that vibration when you hum, which is that
yeah.
vibration that would
Mhm.
soothe me. Just whistling, I was always a whistler. I was always having to make some sort of sound or vibration. And when I see children doing that, I think of that. I say, oh, they're just remembering and they're,
I remember when I used to do my reels a couple years ago, when my son was still very small. He's 2 now. He used to sing right along with the bowls
Yeah,
and
I
would
remember.
match the pitch too. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, that's odd, but it's
Yeah.
amazing how they can pick up on that.
Yes, I remember. That's how I found you. You in Rio sitting at your bowls.
I still very often play. I don't get as much of a chance anymore because I have 2 of them now. And then the one that used to sit with me now wants to break the bowl. So we have to
Yes.
separate him from them. But I still listen to them all of the time, as many as I can, and hope to one day reincorporate it just in a new
Mhm.
way with
Yeah.
both of my children. So when we're talking about past lives and how it feels to have that feeling of remembering who you are and what you came here to do, interacting with people now who are feeling very lost on their own journeys and they're coming to you and asking you, how can I find this in my life? How do you feel about navigating, I guess, a path for people within, and not even just within your age group or your social class or anything? How do you feel about helping these people who don't have that same feeling of remembrance as you? Like, does that feel like your path, like what you're intended to do? Does it get confusing at times?
It gets a little confusing at times. I just try to be open to it. I try to be as authentic as I can. And I try to encourage people to sit and meditate because that's how things came to me. Just taking that time. I mean, I could go really, really far. I mean, sitting and meditating, even going natural, like, something about shaving your hair and starting from scratch. That whole, I'd like to think that antenna and receiving those messages. So I try to encourage people to not to look to me or anyone else for the answers, but to just sit quiet with source and just really come into a meditation practice, whatever that looks like for them. And I try to be a guide, and that's hard because you and I both know there are a lot of people, because this awakening that's taking place is very trendy and there's money to be made. So there are a lot of people out there who solicit people under the guise of helping them. And so we live in a culture where we're not accustomed to having that direct link to source or getting back to who we were in a past life or whatever. And so what's comfortable is to seek someone, to seek out a teacher or a guru, if you will. So I just try to encourage those people to do that for themselves, to go within, and I can be a guide, but I also feel like I'm still learning so much myself. I really do. So for you to refer to me as an expert, I'm like, wow, because I feel like every day I'm learning, and I love to learn. I love that part. I don't ever want to stop learning.
Yeah, and I was going to say the best teachers to me are the ones who never stop learning. They still refer to themselves as students.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
can give the most respect to someone like that because you don't know it all, but
Mm-hmm.
you know that you're on that path still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's also interesting, when someone came to you, and I mentioned this already about she wanted to know if how you intuitively played. And I've done the same thing. Like I never had any formal training with becoming a sound bath practitioner. I have taken classes, I've gotten certifications, but when it came to it the first time, I just did what I felt. I wasn't looking for any specific instruction, like, okay, this is the body, this is how you do it. It's just because we know these things and we know how to heal. We just, we're not connected, like you said, that direct link to source. So with that, I am curious for you, what is your favorite, even I'm sure you have an affinity for sound healing, but what is your favorite practice out of all that you practice?
Out of everything that I practice, wow, that's changing. It's evolving. So I would say definitely sound healing was number one. But now that I've become a Reiki master, they're kind of neck and neck. I'm really enjoying Reiki and what it's done for me and what I see it doing for other people. So I would say sound healing and Reiki is a very close second. And I've learned to incorporate the two. I incorporate the two.
And could you tell us a little bit about Reiki? I know that I know something about Reiki, but I know not everybody in the audience does. So could you tell us a little bit about it and how it connects with sound healing?
Oh, yes. So Reiki is energy healing, and it's used with the chi energy or source energy that we all have. And we all have the ability to tap into that and to help our bodies heal. And we can do that through hovering the hands, and we can do that through touch, laying on the hands, if you will, that sort of thing. And we work with the chakra center, the major energy centers in the body, from the crown of the head to the base of the spine, the root chakra. And so just getting those areas in balance can help us sort out. Luna's so cute. Can help us sort out those things that are bothering us physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so I use the seven crystal singing bowls, which are attuned to the seven major chakras. And so I'm playing those. I normally start at the root chakra because it's a deeper sound and it's not as jarring for people as they're starting to settle in. And I use Reiki. There are sacred symbols that we use. There's energy of pushing the energy with our hands, and so I do a combination of that as I'm playing. And I've actually had clients ask or tell me that it felt like I was touching them as I was playing the bowls. So it really is really fascinating, and we can practice Reiki on ourselves. We can do self Reiki and help our bodies to heal, moving that stagnant energy. And we can, our babies, our families, and other people.
Yes, Reiki.
I hope I answered that.
You did. Reiki is one of my
Okay.
favorite practices because I think people always expect hands to be laid on them. And then when you don't,
Mhm.
but they still feel it, you understand
Yeah.
the power of energy. And
Oh,
like you said, when
yeah.
we're rubbing our hands together and you can feel that chi energy. I had somebody, like I showed someone and they're like, you're not feeling anything. I'm like, try it. And then they did. I'm like, oh, okay, you see, like
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
made up of so much energy, but most people
Yes.
don't even get to pay attention to it.
Exactly, exactly. I remember when I did Reiki, I did Reiki 1 and then I did Reiki 2, and that's when you can start doing Reiki on other people. And so I invited two of my most skeptical girlfriends over for Reiki sessions. And the one who's like so skeptical of everything, she said Reiki is real. She asked me if I was wearing heated gloves because she could feel so much heat from my hands. And I said, no, I wasn't wearing anything on my hands. I said, you were just feeling that energy. So yeah, it's beautiful. And that's an area that's growing, and I'm so happy to see it growing.
I can resonate with that. I think the first time I received Reiki, the first place I felt it, my eyes were closed, but I was having it performed on me and I could feel it in my solar plexus area.
Mm.
And I thought it was funny that I could feel it there because I've actually had several surgeries there in the past where I've had my appendix out, my gallbladder. I've had a lot of issues. And when you know what the solar plexus is about, and what energy center it works with, a lot having to do with, willpower and how you feel about yourself, like, which is something I had
Yeah,
struggled with for so long. I was like, okay, now how'd you know that? Like without doing an
right.
x-ray. So when we
Right.
start learning about these systems outside of, regular Western medicine, you see like
Mhm.
we we've known far more about the body for long periods of time than, the world lets on. So it's amazing
Yeah.
to learn that.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that modern medicine, Western medicine, they're starting to adopt those practices as well. There are even some medical centers who offer Reiki. So
I've
that's
seen
interesting.
that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised. I'll give it maybe about 5, 10 years. I wouldn't be
Mhm.
surprised if you can get a session and charge it to your insurance.
Yeah. I agree. It should be that way.
So you're located on the West Coast, and I know
Yeah.
that practices like this are a little bit more popular there, though the whole world is kind of catching on and adapting back to these practices again. How do you feel about sound bath practitioners who are charging, calling themselves gurus and charging like thousands of dollars for people to experience this?
Oh boy. The thing that bothers me about that is that it excludes a whole group of people who wouldn't have access to these modalities, who don't have access, right? At the same time, I do believe um, that anyone who does this work, yoga teachers, sound healers, Reiki practitioners, I believe that everyone should earn a living wage, if they choose to do this full time. But some of the prices, some of it is just like wow, and that's really sad and unfortunate because, like I said, the people who need it the most, it just puts them at a disadvantage. And I think also it gives the impression that it's an elitist thing. So the people who probably could benefit from it the most think that it's not for them. I know the yoga community went through that for a long time where people would go into yoga studios and not see anyone who looked like them, or just because of how it was priced, maybe priced out of their range or whatever, they felt that it just wasn't for them. It's for those people over there. And I don't like anytime someone is taking advantage of what people need, for their healing. So it's good to see that there's a range of sound healers out there, and there's something for everyone, and there's something for everyone's budget. And I don't know, it's like anything else, right? It's anything else that's trending and there's a buck to be made, we're always going to have those people who will do that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've seen quite a lot, and the thing that I found most astounding, especially after studying like the beginning stages of Reiki, when I was hearing the history behind it and how long people would have to study to actually know
Yeah.
these practices. And then you can get on Instagram now and see like a 3-day intensive course. I'm like, you can't learn that
You
like
can't.
that quick. I
No.
mean, you could learn the basics, I guess, on
Mhm.
paper, but to
Yeah.
actually do it, like it's a lifelong, that's why we call it a practice
Yes.
because it's done
Yeah.
continually. You don't just learn how to do it and then start charging like thousands of
Right.
dollars. And that's
Yes.
why,
And
like you
there's,
said, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, no, no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's what I was agreeing with you about it being people having the perception that it's elitist because they
Mhm.
only see it being practiced and charged, and then you have this whole perception about money and it creates that feeling of lack. And then we put that together with Reiki and sound healing. That's like what
Yeah.
we're diverting from the whole point of this. And if you know anything about yoga, there are different asanas to yoga. So it's not about the outfits, it's not about
Yeah.
the look,
Right.
it's about the practice
Mhm.
and the
The
mental part
practice.
of it.
Yes, and a lot of people want to get a a lot of people want to get around that part, right? The spiritual aspects of things. I actually had a lady call me once wanting to book a group sound bath, but and she went so far as to tell me that they only wanted the music. They didn't want any of the spiritual stuff or the chanting or anything. And I said, "Well, I'm not the sound healer for you." Because you're going to get some healing.
Oh,
I'm not an
wow.
entertainer. So, yes, it's interesting.
That's interesting that you were asked that because I don't know what
I
someone would,
know that that
what is
really
it
threw
that
me
you
for
want?
what is it that you want? I think they wanted a girlfriend experience, something for the ladies to do together. And they heard of this sound healing thing, sound bath thing, probably from that TV show we just talked about.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
it's important for people like you who have been putting this message and these videos out for a while that we continue to teach the foundations because everybody wants to skip ahead to, what the
Yeah.
healing feels like, not really understanding or understanding that healing is a constant process. It's death and
Yes.
rebirth over and over again. You don't just get to stop and then suddenly it's bliss and nirvana. It doesn't work like that. Though I know the pictures on Amazon and Instagram will tell you
Yeah.
otherwise. Like if you put
Mhm.
on this outfit and you play these beats, you're going to be the ultimate picture of healing. And that's just not the
Yeah,
truth.
no, it's not. And the other thing too, you mentioned the practice and years of practice, and these are sacred modalities. And so to see, sometimes I see on Amazon or Pinterest, people are actually posting the Reiki symbols, and so
Yeah.
you have people thinking that, oh, if I write down these symbols or if I do these symbols with my hands and or whatever, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and like, no, it's something that's sacred. And people can go on, like you said, go online and get a certification as a meditation teacher, doing breath work, so many things. And on the one hand, COVID and being at home helped us become curious, and but at the other, on the other side too, we just have to be cautious.
Yeah, I think social media, though it is great at times, it has created this perception that one, we need to be certified in every single thing, and that makes us
Mhm.
valid and able to do these
Mhm.
things. But I think when you truly get into the practice and the history of it, you kind of learn to stop, I guess, having, I want to say, like barriers and blockages that keep you from realizing your true power and who you are.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
set up like different blockades in front of you, like, okay, you have to fit this box. Are you
Mhm.
indigenous? Are you
Mhm.
have you been practicing this for at least 20 years?
Right.
Are you young? Are you old? Like this is for everyone to come back into themselves. It does not know any boundaries or lines. As long as you're willing to give yourself over to the practice, it's going to give right back to you.
Mhm. Exactly. And it kind of goes back to past lives, all of that, right? Because I know some people have gotten territorial about practices and, being, whether they're indigenous or not, and certain instruments that they view as sacred and those types of things. But, just when you're on your path and you know who you are, then Like I know that I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm not taking anything away from anyone else. I'm just doing what I was created to do.
So, what are your plans for chocolate yoga destinations for the coming future?
Oh, wow. I've done a couple of retreats and I really like those. They're a lot of work though. I think I want to just continuing to educate people about sound healing and Reiki. I want to continue to bring practitioners together. I still love doing sound bath play dates. I want to continue doing that. I see myself working with children more. I've had an opportunity to work in a few schools doing yoga and sound bath with kids, especially underserved children who normally aren't exposed to those modalities. I love working with them. I love seeing how, they come in with this attitude, like, and then by the end of it, when someone say, "Who wants to see Miss Fatima back?" They're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Really?" But I'm enjoying doing that. So I see myself working with children more and maybe traveling more on the destination side. I don't know what that's going to look like. One thing that's happened in the last 3 years with social media is I've met some wonderful people like you. So maybe connecting with some of those people and traveling and being a guest sound healer in their communities, that sort of thing. I would love to do that. And just continuing to grow and learn as much as I can.
I love that, especially the part with the children, because I think that that is one of the most important things I've realized on every aspect of my own healing journey, looking back at my own education as a child and then what's still available now. And I think people are doing a better job at incorporating things like meditation with children because they're the easiest to teach. But
Yeah.
hearing them come in with an attitude and then out like wanting you, be a part of what you're doing, I love that because then they can take that home to their families.
Yeah, yeah. I had an opportunity to work with an organization that works with groups of children who, unfortunately, happen to be majority brown and black children who have a parent who's incarcerated, and so they just try to follow them from middle school through high school and making sure they're okay and have everything they need for school and college if they choose to do that. And so they were having trouble keeping a yoga teacher. And I said, really? So when I first went to work with them, I had a classroom and I set it up like a yoga studio. And so when they would come in, I would tell them, you have to remove your shoes. And they would say, oh, girl. I remember these two looking, I have to take my shoes off, just that little attitude and everything. And I don't know what their expectation was of yoga, but there was one little boy who had done yoga before. So I incorporated him with showing how to do the poses and the postures, the asanas. And one little girl, she still refused to take her shoes off. And I said, sweetheart, you need to take your shoes off. And she said, I don't want to take my shoes off. I have holes in my socks. And so the mother in me kicked in, the black mother in me kicked in, the black auntie in me kicked in. I looked at her, I said, girl, ain't nobody thinking about those holes in your socks. Take your shoes off. And she looked at me and she bursted into laughter. She just cracked up laughing. It was so funny to her. And after that, she was just so into it. So I think there's just a place where, just being relatable to especially our kids, kids of color, because sometimes people just don't listen to them, or, they're not only are they not exposed to certain things, but no one listens or just kind of comes to them where they are at that moment. So I actually enjoyed it, but I could see why they would have trouble keeping yoga teachers. But it didn't bother me.
I honor you for creating that path for all these children for their futures. And whether we see the physical result of it now or not, I know it's definitely going to make an impact in the long run. And that's what's most important because we're in the work that we do, we are leaving behind, just like our ancestors left behind for us,
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
path to a better world, whatever that may look like.
Mhm. Look at Miss Luna. She's
She
laughing.
finally fell asleep.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I have to end up beating her almost in these episodes, and you'll see me like tilt the camera up. I'm like, let me just feed her real quick. But yeah, she's great to have. And I'm so glad to have been able to connect with you again and get to share and expand what this podcast is about. Sacred medicine has been a catalyst in my life. It's been one thing after another. It started with becoming pregnant and then meeting people like you and starting my own healing journey, working with sound healing, and then reintroducing myself to sacred medicine again. But I wanted to include you in this episode because I want to expand past that. I don't think that psychedelics and sacred medicine are for everyone. I think that there are many paths, the same journey that we wish to go on.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone deserves to know about every single part that there is. And it's important to keep creating spaces where we don't see them. So the same way that you're creating in these schools and for these children, I think that just needs to continually be done throughout the world in order for us to connect back to self.
And I see you doing sacred medicine retreats.
Everybody's just, we'll see in the future. I'm not sure just yet, but I could definitely see that for myself too in the future.
Yeah. Awesome.
Maybe we'll get to connect and you can bring sound healing and yoga there too as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, can you tell us how we can find you in case people want to connect with you, possibly get a sound bath or just learn more from you?
Oh, absolutely. I am Chocolate Yoga Destinations with an S on the end. That's my IG handle on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And my website is chocolateyogadestinations.com. I do a self-care Sunday virtual sound bath on Zoom. It's something that I started at the beginning of the pandemic when people were really struggling, and it was free and donation based. And now I keep it at like $10 in donation based. So that's one of my offerings that I still try to keep reachable for people. And it's important to me, and it's a beautiful community, and a lot of people that have attended my classes and events, and even my retreats came from that platform. So if you'd like to give sound healing a try, that's a nice way to start as well. But you can also book an appointment on my website, chocolateyogadestinations.com.
And I will be sure to link all that info in today's show notes. So again, to Faatima, thank you so much for coming into the space today and sharing with us your beautiful journey with sound healing and what it's done for you and the work that you've done for others. We always honor you here in this space and are always sending love.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I send love back to you. And it's so good to see your beautiful face and your great energy back on social media. You were gone for a while. I think I even texted you and said, hey, where have you been? How are you doing?
I'm in and out.
Yeah, I miss seeing your face. But it's good to take those breaks. I take those breaks as well. Good luck to you and everything that you do and your beautiful children and your family. And thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you, as always. So this has been the Tailored Healing Collective podcast. And until next time, let love lead the way. From the old, I have a crown of success. I am sure of what is coming, and let the universe do the rest. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I manifest what I want again and again. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I manifest what I want again and again. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I manifest what I want again and again. Time is a dimension that we enter when we choose to align with self don't know when, but I manifest what I want again and again. I visualize my desires. I create with intention, a new dimension where reality is in my hands. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I manifest what I want again and again.